Hello and welcome to World Talks here on TVP World. I'm your host, Marie Kate. At the beginning of October, Andrej Babiš of the Czech ANO party won the parliamentary elections with 34.5% of the Czech people's vote. Admittedly, there was some commotion and controversy in the days that followed, but the bottom line is that we still await a new government. But on Monday, Czech President Petr Pavel officially presented Babiš with the task of forming a new one. So to help us better understand what is happening right now and what is at stake domestically and internationally, I am joined by Tomáš Prouza, Vice President of the Czech Chamber of Commerce. Good morning and thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you very much for having me.
So we know that Andrej Babiš has been in discussions and negotiations in regards to creating a new cabinet and confirmed that this on social media. He wrote that on Monday that the parties were working on finalizing a coalition agreement and policy statement, that he was confident of forming a government by mid-December. Who are you expecting to see in Babiš's government?
I think what we will primarily see will be old hands of Andrej Babiš from his previous government. I will definitely see his main economic expert, Mr. Havlíček, who will run the economic policy and who also drafted before the election quite a detailed economic strategy that will be the basis of the economic program of the government and has a lot of pro-business gestures and proposals. So many of the businesses are looking forward to this if it can be implemented. The person to keep him in check in terms of spending will be another of the close people of Mr. Babiš, Mrs. Schillerová, the former and future finance minister. And I think for the future of the country and the challenges we face, again, two old hands at the Ministry of Health, because the Czech healthcare system has been in red, has been losing money over the last few years and will need a significant financial reform, and Minister of Education, because if there's, I think, one huge challenge for the future of Czechia, that is the old school education system that is way behind what children today actually need.
And tell us about Filip Turek and the controversies surrounding his person. What is the likelihood that he will be given a position in Babiš's government and why?
Mr. Turek is, I would say, one of these new breed of politicians who believes that the more controversy he stirs, the more loyal fan base he will have. And his way of steering controversy has been very racist comments. Has been caught on camera during interviews on having Nazi memorabilia in his home. And he's also very, let's say, brash and aggressive in the way how he communicates. I think my impression is that he will not be a foreign minister, and that would be, I think, too harmful for Mr. Babiš, because if there's one thing Mr. Babiš really enjoys, it's the spotlight at the world scene. This is why he's pushing for his government to be officially named so that he can go to the European Council in mid-December, because he already wants to be seen as the one being active in Europe. He always loved to travel in foreign visits. And if Mr. Turek is foreign minister, that would complicate the image of reasonable and responsible politician Mr. Babiš wants to cultivate.
Given everything that you've shared with us, what implications do you think that this might have for the Czech Republic's relationship in the region and on the international stage?
It will really depend on actually how much work can be done behind the scenes. You know, Mr. Babiš will love to travel. He will love to meet other statesmen. He will want to be seen as an active prime minister for Czechia. On the other hand, he's always been close to Viktor Orbán in Hungary. What I see is that his dreams and his promises to reinvigorate the Visegrád Group will be problematic because at least the tensions between Poland and Hungary will remain. So he will need to look for other friends. He's been very close to President Macron in the past. Much more complicated relationship with Germany. So I think what we will see is a lot of visible meetings. My big question is, will there be enough people on the working level to then do the work, deal with legislative proposals at the European Union, and be able to come also with positive alternatives? Because Mr. Babiš is very effective in saying things that come from Brussels are wrong, but what we need is his government to actually put up alternatives on the table.
What does the ANO party win tell us about what is actually happening in the Czech Republic? Is this yet another European country that is expressing its Euroscepticism, and why? We know that there is some controversy from the past in regards to Andrej Babiš, and yet we see that the Czech people have voted for him and his mandate.
I think the Euroscepticism you see in Czechia is not real based on values. Even Andrej Babiš is not pro-Kremlin like Viktor Orbán or Robert Fico in Slovakia. Even on business side, he never had businesses in Russia. So that is different. The Euroscepticism you mentioned is, I think, very much based on many politicians in Czechia trying to win votes by bashing Brussels, like we were bashing Moscow during communist time, like we were bashing Berlin, like we were bashing Vienna during the Austro-Hungarian Empire. It's a long-standing Czech tradition to present ourselves as victims that would love to do things, but whoever is the, let's say, ruler of Europe, if I may use that, is blocking us. So this is the Euroscepticism in Czechia. It's not much about values. I think we see the benefits, but it's also, I think, the failure of businesses that do not explain to people how important being a member of the EU is for the economic stability and for the growth of Czechia. And I think we as businesses will need to step up and explain that.
President Petr Pavel officially tasked Andrej Babiš with forming a new government on Monday. But given the complex coalition talks and the controversies surrounding the potential ministers, how likely is it that Babiš will actually succeed in forming a stable majority?
Well, I think he will succeed in forming a majority to get his government approved. Stability is an absolutely different question because, I mean, the program that has been drafted so far is very much based on what Mr. Babiš wanted in his pre-election campaign. The smaller parties have not pushed too much into the government program. But the problem will be, I think, will show up next year when the new government will need to do with the public finances. The debt in Czechia has been growing very quickly. About 93% of the budget are what you call mandatory spending, so what the law requires you to do, and you have only 7% of the total budget to make choices on. Do you want to spend on highways or better education? And these will be the painful choices, and this is, I think, where the problems will start 6 to 9 months from now.
And in terms of the coalition negotiations themselves, they include the far right and the Eurosceptic parties such as the SPD and the motorists. What would their participation in the government mean for Czech democracy and for Prague's relations with Brussels?
I think the relationship with Brussels will be frayed. It will be much more complicated, at least for the two small parties who never had experience in governing. The far-right extremists were always only a protest party, and the motorists are a newly established party that has no experience at all. I think I'm afraid they will not understand how Brussels functions. They will try to criticize things, be against whatever is being proposed, but they will be unable to come up with alternatives. And if you want to win in Brussels, you need to find an alternative and you need to find a coalition to support your alternative. And they will be unable to do that.
Now I wanted to talk a little bit about Petr Fiala, because he announced that he will not run for the post of the head of the ODS. Do you think that this is an adequate reaction given the results of the elections?
I think the results of ODS and his coalition were much better than expected. When we looked at opinion polls a few months before the election, they were expected to do much worse. But I think what I see is that he's tired. He's been running the largest political party in Czechia for 12 years. And again, I think for most politicians, there is a limit that you cannot go beyond. And it makes sense for him to still have one more career change. He was a very respected professor of politology. I think he was the author of a lot of interesting books. And I think this is what he will want to go back to.
And who do you think might be the successor?
So far, there's only one frontrunner, Mr. Martin Kupka, the current Minister of Transport, who had very good experience running a small town close to Prague. He's a very good communicator, and I think he was one of the two most effective ministers in the outgoing government. So again, I think he has the support. He has the quality to appeal to maybe a younger, more progressive voters than the old ODS, and he has also always had a good team around him. So again, if it's him, I think he would have a great chance to change ODS and maybe push them forward.
And today is the largest of Czech national holidays. We know that October 28th commemorates the establishment of the independent Czechoslovak Republic in 1918. And the celebrations are linked each year to the first President Masaryk, or the monument at Vítkov. And the climax is an evening where we know that President Petr Pavel honors several Czech personalities. Can you tell us a little bit about the significance of these celebrations?
Celebrations always reminded us that we could do it ourselves. Since mid of the 16th century, we were part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Before that, Kingdom of Czechia, Bohemia, was among very strong kingdoms in mid ages. So for us, 1918 was a symbol that if we strive to do that, we can do it on our own. So that was the main symbolism. This is why people celebrate today. They want to remind themselves that whatever has been happening, we always persevered, we move forward. This is why there's always the ceremony starting in the morning of awarding, naming new generals, honoring the dead in the wars, and finishing at the Prague Castle with the president awarding distinguished personalities. And current president has been very careful that he tries to honor as many of the living. There's always some post-mortem awards. In the past, with previous presidents, it was about half for living people, half for post-mortem. Current president is focusing on living people to again show the example and move and give examples to the people that it is worth to do positive things.
Okay, Tomáš Prouza, Vice President of the Czech Chamber of Commerce. It's been great speaking to you today.
Thank you very much for having me. Have a good day.
And that's a wrap for World Talks. Thank you so much for being with us, and stay tuned for much more on TVP World. Goodbye.